Hey everybody, this is Justin with EBR, and the weather's not fantastic, raining a little bit on me, but to be honest, I don't care because I'm very excited to introduce you to this bike. It's the latest in the Rad Power Bikes lineup. It's the Radster Trail. And so maybe it is kind of perfect that it's raining a little bit because this is a bike that's meant to go a little bit further, get you off-road, and really get you out adventuring. Stay tuned through the review. There's actually a handful of things that Rad's done on this bike that are actually pretty cool. So stick with us as we dive in. Okay, so first off, when I saw the Radster Trail for the first time, my jaw just kind of dropped. This coral red color is just, for me, just beautiful. Again, looks are very personal, but I love that coral red with the orange accents. Our videographer didn't love the orange accents. I love them. And then also the brown wall, brown sidewalls on the tires just made this bike look really good. The next thing I noticed was the tires. They're not 4-inch, they're 3-inch fat tires. So these tires, they are Kenda Havoc tires, 27.5 by 3-inch. And so that's thinner than the Red Rover. And personal opinion here, and I'm probably going to get some pushback, but I like the thinner tires. It's technically a mid-fat tire bike. I just think they're a little more nimble and better handling. You may sacrifice a little bit of cushion versus the 4-inch, but not a ton. You can still air these things down a bit and have a really comfortable ride. And yeah, so those were like the first things that jumped out at me. But you can see this is a really good looking bike. The frame and the bike in total is 78 pounds, 68 pounds without the battery. It's 6061 aluminum, and it has a pretty darn high max payload of 370 pound max payload. The rider weight 290 pounds. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you notice it's not a traditional high step here, right? It's kind of a mid step where the seat stay runs here, but through the seat to the front, and you've got two of these. So that just really gives the frame a very sturdy, stout feeling. But because it's not a full high step, it's more approachable. So I love this. I've always said, if you can make a bike a step through that's just as stiff on the frame, do it, because it's just easier to get on and off, more approachable. I just like it better. This, I just think they nailed that. They nailed it from a look standpoint. They nailed it from a stiffness standpoint. That standover height on the large bike is what we have is 24 inches. It's 21 on the regular. You'll notice the frame's a little bit different. And just in general, the regular size bike is a little bit smaller. The reach on this is 15.6 versus 15.2. The wheelbase is 47.4 versus 46.6 on the regular. So overall, if you're somewhere between 5'7" and 6'4", this is the bike you'll choose. I've had a 6'5" rider ride it, and they were good. Didn't have full leg extension, but pretty darn close, and they can have longer legs. So it's not just your height, another topic for another day, but it's also your torso length. But this is pretty versatile for riders of different heights. I would say if you're around that 5'7" range, maybe go with the regular version that's supposedly be for 4'11" to 5'8" riders. I cannot confirm that. I do not have a regular size frame in yet. I'm going to try to get them to send me one so I can do a good comparison for you. Other notable features on the bike. You've got front fenders. You got the front fenders. I actually kind of like the look of those being a little bit shorter there. And you got the rear fenders, a little bit bigger, really cover that to kind of keep your backside clean. You have a lot of mounting points. You have this rear rack that's actually a pretty stout rear rack you can mount things to. Here in this seat tube, you have mounting brackets for a water bottle. Up front, you have mounting points for a front rack. And so in general, that kind of makes this bike, it is their trail, quote unquote, version. It is not a mountain bike, just to be clear. But for, HOV roads, fire roads, out camping, those tires are going to do a really good job. But with all the racks and the mounts, you can still do quite a bit commuting. And it's even decked out for a commuter with a light. So the front light, it's a 200 lumen front light that actually is pretty powerful with a nice reflector. On the back, you have a brake light with turn signals. And so again, that kind of is more of the commuting style. And so if you want something a little more comfortable than the Roadster Road, this one you could definitely do and use it as that comfortable commuter that you can also take off-road and go adventuring. So overall, I think it's just a very functional, again, beautiful bike. Again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I really do like the look. I'm glad they sent us the coral red. I think it's probably my favorite color. The sage moss is the other option if you want to take a look at that. Could they offer a few more colors? Sure, I'd always like to see more colors, but that's kind of a nightmare from an inventory management standpoint. And I just like that they didn't stick with just plain old black and white. So yeah, there you have the overview. Now let's dive into some of the other areas. Okay, let's dive into the heart and soul of the bike, talking about the motor and the battery. These are two areas where Rad really has made quite a lot of improvements on. The rear hub motor is 750 watts. They've stuck to their guns with that, where they're not going, it doesn't peak over 750 watts, but they have increased the torque by what they've claimed is 54% to 100 Newton meters of torque. Now, this morning I took this uphill hole and did the hill test for Electric Bike Report. I'm not going to tell you the results, you have to wait for that review, but I'll kind of tell you the bottom line. This thing booked it up the hill. This is the best hill climber that I've tested from Rad. This Radster series is just phenomenal what they've done with that motor, increasing the torque without making it peak above 750 watts. It's just a fantastic job. Moving on to the battery now. The battery is something you're going to see in the press a lot. It's their Safety Shield battery. It is UL certified to 2849 and 2271, but they even went further. They potted the battery with thermal resistant resin that encapsulates each individual battery cell to prevent thermal runaway. In other non-technical words, they made the battery significantly more safe and went beyond current UL standards. You know, this is the same tech that you'll find in electric cars. You know, yeah, so again, the same tech that you find in electric cars, and as far as I can tell, they're the only ones doing this to the batteries. I really want to see the rest of the industry doing this so we don't have as many fire hazards with e-bikes. And you can also recycle the battery, which is really cool. They did a partnership with Redwood Materials to do that. So triple thumbs up for the battery and the motor on the Radster Trail. Okay, so it's starting to drizzle on us a little bit, but you know, we're on a trail bike, so we definitely got to get used to being out in the elements. So let's just keep going. The drivetrain on this is a Shimano 8-speed drivetrain, Shimano Acera. I like the fact that they spec'd it with Shimano. You've got a 50-tooth front chainring. I didn't have any ghost pedaling issues. It still had good range to get up even really steep hills, and just overall is a nice drivetrain that anywhere can service. It's going to be durable and just nice and reliable. They also went to the Shimano thumb shifters, just kind of a better feel than the over the handlebar shifters, and just good overall quality all the way around on that. The brakes, moving on to those, they've got Tektro hydraulic disc brakes in the rear, 180 millimeters, and in the front, 180 millimeters. They are 1.8 millimeters thick. You know, I think they could increase that a little bit, but I haven't had any issues myself, and I think they'll do really well, especially being from Tektro, a nice reputable brand. This is going to hold up and also are serviceable. One key note, Rad mentioned they cut down on the parts of this bike by 63%. I have not figured out a way to confirm that yet, but the goal was to make this a much less needed maintenance on this bike, and everything spec wise kind of tracks. You know, it's just a good, well spec bike throughout. Before I forget, you also have the seat, which is a nice comfortable seat even in the rain. Again, everyone's butt's a little bit different, but me, I like that saddle. It feels really nice and comfortable. And up front, to further enhance the comfort, really is that it's a Suntour 80 mil hydraulic fork, and it has a lockout and a load adjustment on this side here. So, you know, it's not like a mountain bike quality fork, but it's definitely trail worthy. Softens the bumps, makes this a very comfortable bike all the way around, especially with those 3-inch fat tires. Now, moving up to the cockpit, and it's raining a little bit, sorry about that. The handlebars, 710 millimeter wide. The grips are the rubber grips. If you've already watched our Radster road bike review, you're going to notice a lot of the similarities here. I already talked about the Shimano, rapid fire shifters, and the brakes, the brake levers are Tektro brake levers. The other thing I like with this cockpit is just a nice clean look. They've wrapped the wires very well in the front here, and they run down through here into this down tube, where you've got a cover on the down tube to protect that, but you can still access some of these cables if you need to take it into a bike shop to kind of get fixed. So nice clean look, functional, and just overall, as you take a step back and look at the bike, so the overall quality of the components is a step above what you get in the Rad Rover. Top notch, especially for that $2,000 price range. Okay, I almost forgot to walk you through Rad's new display, which is really cool. And apologize for the rain here. We'll get some B-roll so you can see a little more clear. But there's a new display from Rad, color display. You turn it on with this button here, and notice something cool where there's a security code with a key. Let's focus here. So the key, you just hold up to there and it unlocks the bike. So it adds a nice, security level to that. Now on the bike, you got this turns the light on and off. You can also increase your PAS, decreases your PAS. You see here from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Above that, you have turn signals. So left turn signal, right turn signal. And you'll see it blinking here. Left, you press it down, it turns it off. Right, press it down, turns it off. And the display is just simple, clean, but I like how bright and vibrant it is. Your PS down below here, your miles per hour, you got your watts, your odometer, your battery level there. It's not a percentage battery readout, which I guess if I'm being picky, I would like to see that, just so I don't have to guess as much. But overall, it's pretty good. Right here, you hold down the M button, it changes the screen. Right here. So it says your trip distance, your trip time, your class level. I've unlocked this to 3. If you hold down the M, that's where you get into the settings. So you get trip, class, hit M, M again for set, and you can toggle between class 1, 2, 3, 3. So if you're on a trail when the class 1's allowed, you got class 1, it turns off the throttle. Class 2 turns it to a pedal assist throttle up to 20. Class 3, pedal assist up to 25 on this one. It limits it. This class 3 is fully 28 miles per hour. So this is a class 3 e-bike. Just gives it, I think it's actually going to give it a lot more appeal. And then to get back to the menu, return to menu, and hold down that M button, and you are back here, or you got that display. So overall, I think it's a nice upgrade from Rad on the display. It's just very simple and easy to understand the readout, very easy to toggle back and forth between class 1, class 2, and class 3. I found myself a little bit hitting these buttons sometimes to change the PAS, so once I get used to it though, it won't be a problem using these ones down here. But overall, very nice, clean, crisp display from Rad. Now I'm going to pass this off to Ben. He's our head mechanic. As I mentioned before, he's been in the industry for 30 years, done a lot of wrench turning. And so we're going to get his take, and I'm hoping this is a helpful section for you all. I know a lot of you are going to be putting the bike together. And so yeah, we're trying to give some additional insight there. Leave comments if you have other questions or things that you think Ben should cover, but I'm going to pass it off to him and get his take. Okay, Ben, so you're the one that got the box unboxed, that put it together. walk us through what it was like to get the bike delivered and go through all the safety inspection that you do for us.
Justin, I really liked unpacking this bike. It was very simple from the start to the finish. What I like to look for as a mechanic of building however many thousands of bikes over the years and years, I like to see simple, effective packaging. This showed exactly that. The packing foam and cardboard was in all the right places. All the contact points were zip tied nicely. Not too many zip ties, so it didn't take very long to unpackage everything, even including the small parts box. It was great.
Awesome. We have you go out and do like an initial test and just kind of really go through the bike on how it rides. As someone who's ridden in the bike industry for a long time, what were your first impressions?
I really like this bike a lot. At first, I thought it might be kind of sluggish given the width of the rims and the tires, but it was anything but that. Once it got up to speed, in which to say that the power band was nice, it was very comfortable, very consistent. It felt confidence inspiring even in the corners with the through axle fork. It felt very stiff in the front end, riding downhill, trying to get it to wiggle, trying to get it to flex. It felt very stiff, very controllable at speed. One thing that I would like to see on a bike like this, especially the trail version, would be a thicker brake rotor. These have 1.8 millimeter thick brake rotors. I feel like the heat dissipation and control of the brakes, especially the progression of the brake strength feel, would be noticeably better with a thicker brake rotor. Otherwise, it felt great.
Awesome. And on that rotor, like, would you say that's just something you kind of upgrade later down the line? Like, I know when I rode it, I didn't have necessarily any issues with braking, but definitely I think that's, again, us getting pretty picky on things that they can improve. Would you say I stated that correctly?
Absolutely, yes. It's easy to upgrade. You can get some new brake rotors from TRP or any of your favorite brake rotor manufacturers. 2.3 thickness rotors would be the way to go. It isn't necessary, but for a guy like me that's ridden those bikes, ridden a lot of different bikes, especially heavier bikes with motors, it does enhance the brake and safety.
Awesome. Okay, so there you have it. Mechanic take from Ben. I appreciate that, Ben. Very helpful. And again, I hope this is helpful for you. If there's other questions you have or things you'd like Ben to cover, please leave those down in the comments. Okay, so now's the time where I'm going to jump on the bike and we're going to go ride it. Yes, it's going to be a little windy. Yes, it's going to be a little bit rainy. But I don't care. The bike's waterproof rated anyway, so that's not going to be a problem. I'll just grab a jacket and let's go for a ride. So now we're going to take this out. The rain unfortunately stopped a little bit on us. I was kind of liking the rain. Felt it fitting coming from a brand from Seattle. Anyway, so this is the Radster Trail. So we're going to start by kind of taking it on kind of some off-road back here. I've got it set on PAS2. So just keep it nice and controlled as we go here. And I'll just kind of give you some commentary as we ride. You know, so as I went over that, you heard a little bit of chatter there in the rear. That's just that rear derailleur a little bit, but in general, like I said, that 80 mil front fork here, those fat tires kind of absorb a lot of these bumps, and I feel very comfortable out here. So let's see how it does. I think this is a perfect example of the type of place that you can ride comfortably on the Radster Trail. Where, to be honest, I could probably even air down the tires a little more than what I have now. But I do think I like that 3-inch tire. It just feels more nimble than the other 4-inch fat tires. So I think I might, again, for me, just personally, I think I might like that mid-fat feel. And I kind of wonder if it's going to become a little bit more of a trend, similar to what we saw in the mountain bike world, where, I don't know how many years ago, it was kind of a big thing to go to the 27.5 and 3-inch tires. And then everybody started coming out more with the 29-inch. And just kind of cut down on that tire size. So we'll see if that happens here. But I think overall, nice feel on those tires through some of this more, you know, off-road style areas, and just feels really good. Nice and nimble and comfortable through these sections. If I throttle here, I can just kind of throttle through some of this stuff. The twist throttle, I don't know, the more I use it, actually, the more I like it. Usually I like the thumb throttles, but this does let me kind of control it a little bit more. Like here, I don't want to just kind of full on throttle. I want to kind of go a little slower in some sections. So I like it for that, actually. You know, I don't do a lot of dirt bike, motorcycle riding, so maybe that's why I don't like the thumb throttle. But yeah, good overall feel. And just very, I don't know, great feel there, actually, on the bike. The frame, you know, I'm not rolling it around the corner or anything, but it does just feel very stiff. Sometimes when I jump on a bike, you just kind of don't get like a solid feel to it, and I don't have a great way to explain it other than it just doesn't feel dialed in, doesn't feel firm. This one does, just out of the gate. Feels very solid. You know, now that I'm on kind of paved roads, let's kick this baby up to 5 and see how long it takes to get it up to 28 here. So yeah, not very hard to get this up to 28. It's a little bit windy, a little bit damp on the road. The tires have good grip. The shifting, as I shifted up, you know, to 8th gear, is very smooth. I'm not ghost pedaling, so I think they kind of nailed that gear range there on it. Feels really good. Let's kind of check the brakes. Wet, slid out a little bit there, but felt very comfortable and controlled. And it's fun. That was a lot of fun getting up to 28 on this thing. I think, oh, let's go this way. I think those, I don't know, I'm becoming more of a fan of the 3-inch tires on this, because it just gives it that more nimble feel as I'm riding around, but I don't feel like I need anything bigger. So yeah, I'm a fan. I'm trying to find something that I don't love about the bike, and other than those, and this is us being picky, you know, this is Ben being very picky on those rear rotors being a little thicker. So as you can tell, again, stopping here, very comfortable even in wet, slick conditions. They perform well. I said this on the Radster road review as well. I'm having a hard time finding something I don't like, so I'll keep searching. I'll get back to you on that part. You know, I'm not out on the road, but I just want to show how those blinkers work here left. Again, they don't replace hand signals, but it's nice to augment the hand signals. I tend to forget to leave it on, so just hit it again and it turns it off. It's not like a car where after you turn it, kicks it off. At least I haven't had it happen to me yet. Right turn, off there. Yeah, sections like that are where I really like having those tires. As far as like compared to the road version of the Radster, it's not quite as nimble, but it's more nimble than I expected. I like the feel of the handlebars. There's slightly swept back, not like the road are. 710 mil width, just feels nice and comfortable. Not super aggressive. I'm still somewhat upright, and just overall nice quality feel. And yeah, having a hard time finding something I don't really like about this bike. I think a lot of people are going to like it, and it's going to become, I hope to see this in the Rad lineup kind of going forward, especially with that improvement on the motor and the improvement on the battery. I'd be shocked if they don't, you know, kind of keep pushing the limits on that. So well done. Rides really clean, really smooth. If there's some other questions you have on how it rides, please let me know. We'll get back to you in the comments. You know, talking about the torque sensor, this is also an upgrade over the Red Rover, and I like the fact that they've done this. It feels, let me kind of test and try to describe it to you. So when I start, it kicks in, so I'm in 1, let me go to 2. I feel it more in 2 than 1, but it's a very responsive torque sensor. When I stop pedaling, it also stops. Let me kick it up to 5. That's where you see some of that lag even more. So I would say to engage it, maybe a 1/4 of a turn, and then when I stop, it's really next to immediate. Not mid-drive immediate, but there is not a lag on disengagement there. It's very smooth, and I would say, you know, I don't have to crank it to get up to 28, so it is a torque sensor, but it's still a rear hub motor. It's kind of pushing you along, and if that's kind of the fun feel you're going for, you're definitely going to get it on this bike. Okay, so as you can tell, I'm a pretty big fan of the Radster Trail. This is a bike that I do think is a great option for someone who wants to commute to and from, ride around town, go get some groceries, or want to take it off-road a little bit. I'd stay away from single track, but other than that, it's with those 3-inch fat tires, at the 80mm suspension, it'll be able to handle some bumps, and it'll be able to handle some of those country roads, you know, camping, and just be a ton of fun. And just in general, I think what Rad has done here is quite phenomenal. Under $2,000, the battery is probably one of the biggest highlights. That's just a really cool step that I'm seeing, you know, with what they've done. I love the frame, I love the design, I love the colors. And in terms of improvement on the motor, I just think that's a fantastic job. This really did climb up hills well, rides around very smooth. That torque sensor just makes it, gives it a more natural riding feel, and just overall makes this a really fun, versatile, utilitous bike. So well done by Rad. And you know, if there's anything that we didn't cover in this review, please leave those questions and comments down below. Like and subscribe to our channel. You know, hit that little bell so you get notified when we come out with new stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out in the industry this year, and I don't want you to miss it. So yeah, I hope this was helpful, and hope to see you out on the trail.